Rimuru and Ultima goes to One Piece, Rimuru and Ultima x One Piece, by Veldanava-God. Chapter 47. The final battle begins. The throne room of the Tempest capital was a vast, imposing chamber, its walls lined with ornate carvings and gleaming with golden accents. Rimuru and Ultima sit on their thrones, exuding an aura of dominance and power. As Luffy, Law, and Kylum entered the chamber, the atmosphere grew heavy, the tension palpable. Rimuru rose from his throne, a sly smile playing on his lips. His golden eyes gleamed with a mixture of amusement and malice. "So, you finally made it," he said, his voice calm yet filled with an unspoken threat. Monkey D. Luffy, Trafalgar Law, and the would-be revolutionary prince, Kylum Drakemore. Ultima, sitting beside him, leaning forward with an eager grin. "I've been waiting for this moment," she said, her voice dripping with excitement. "You've caused quite the stir, but this is where your little rebellion ends. Let's see if you can entertain us before we crush you." Luffy grinned. The fire in his eyes matched the challenge before him. "You think you're gonna crush us? Don't make me laugh." He slammed his fist into his palm, his rubbery body cracking with energy. "I'm gonna beat you both, and then I'll become the king of the pirates." Law adjusted his hat, his expression calm but deadly serious. "This isn't just about us," he said. "This is about liberating everyone you've stressed. You've ruled through fear long enough." Kylum stepped forward, his presence commanding despite the lack of powers. His sharp, golden eyes locked onto Rimuru. "Your reign ends today. I may not have a devil fruit, but I have my haki and my conviction. That's more than enough to bring you down." Rimuru gasped, unfazed by their declarations. "Bold words. Let's see if you can back them up." He raised his hand, the air around him shifted ominously. His aura intensified as the power of the Soru no Mi surged to life. Shadows twisted and writhed around him, taking on menacing forms. "I'll show you the true meaning of fear." Ultima stood beside him, cracking her knuckles as the earth beneath her trembled. The power of the Gura no Mi radiated from her, the air itself seeming to fracture around her fists. "And I'll make sure you feel every bit of it," she added with a wicked grin. "Gear. Fifth." Luffy shouted, his body transforming as he activated his ultimate form. His hair and clothes turned white, and his body exuded a cartoonish, chaotic energy that distorted the air around him. He laughed, his voice booming. "Let's get this party started." Law activated his room, the spatial sphere encompassing the throne room. His Kikoku sword gleamed as he pointed it at Rimuru and Ultima. "Shambles," he declared, preparing for the chaotic combat to come. Kylum's golden hair glinted in the light as he took his stance, his haki radiating from him like a shield. Though he lacked a devil fruit, his conqueror's haki roared to life, matching the intensity of his allies. With no further words, the battle began. Luffy versus Ultima. Luffy wasted no time, launching himself at Ultima with a wild grin on his face. Gomu Gomu no Gigant Pistol. His massive, rubbery fist shot forward, crackling with advanced armament haki. Ultima countered with a devastating punch of her own, her fist imbued with the tremor-inducing power of the Gura no Mi. The collision created a massive shockwave, shattering the floor beneath them. Luffy was thrown backward, but he bounced off the wall like a rubber ball, laughing. "That's what I'm talking about. You're strong." Ultima smirked, wiping a trickle of blood from the corner of her mouth. "You're not so bad yourself, Rubber Boy. But let's see how you handle this." She slammed her fist into the air, creating a powerful quake that rippled toward Luffy. Luffy leapt into the air, his movements cartoonishly exaggerated. Gomu Gomu no Gigant Bazooka. His arms stretched impossibly far before snapping back with incredible force, striking Ultima head-on. Ultima grunted, sliding back from the impact but refusing to fall. "You're tougher than you look," she admitted. "But I'm just getting started." Law versus Rimuru. Meanwhile, Law faced off against Rimuru, their battle a deadly dance of strategy and precision. Rimuru's shadows darted around the room like vipers, striking at Law from every angle. But Law was prepared, his room allowing him to teleport away from each attack. "Counter shock!" Law shouted, delivering a jolt of electricity to one of Rimuru's shadow constructs. The construct dissipated, but Rimuru simply created more, his smirk never fading. "You're clever," Rimuru said, his voice calm and taunting, "but you'll need more than tricks to defeat me." Law's eyes narrowed as he activated his hockey of observation, predicting Rimuru's next move. He teleported behind Rimuru, swinging his sword in a precise arc. But Rimuru's shadows intercepted the attack, deflecting it with ease. "You're predictable," Rimuru said, his tone condescending. He raised his hand, and the shadows surged toward Law like a tidal wave. Law countered with a powerful slash, his blade glowing with hockey. The attack sliced through the shadows, creating an opening. "Predictable, huh? Let's see if you predict this," he said, teleporting directly in front of Rimuru and slashing at his chest. Rimuru dodged at the last moment, but the blade grazed him, drawing blood. His smirk faltered for a moment before returning. "Not bad," he admitted. "But you'll regret that." Kylum joins the fray. Kylum, meanwhile, darted between the two battles, using his observation hockey to avoid stray attacks. He analyzed the movements of both Rimuru and Ultima, looking for openings. "Kylum," Luffy called out as he clashed with Ultima again. "Focus on Rimuru. I've got this one." Kylum nodded, turning his attention to Rimuru. "Law, let's take him down together." Law smirked, a bead of sweat rolling down his temple. "About time you joined the fight." The two coordinated their attacks, Kylum charging at Rimuru with a flurry of sword strikes while Law used his rune to manipulate the battlefield. Rimuru found himself on the defensive, his shadows struggling to keep up with their combined assault. "Impressive," Rimuru admitted, deflecting Kylum's blade with a shadow construct. "You're more skilled than I expected. But skill alone won't be enough." He raised his hand, summoning a massive shadow beast that roared as it lunged at Kylum. Kylum stood his ground, his conqueror's hockey clashing with the beast's aura. With a single, precise strike, he cut through the beast, dispelling it. Both sides wounded as the battle raged on. Both sides began to show signs of wear. Luffy's Gear 5 form flickered as he struggled to maintain its energy, while Ultima's movements became slightly slower, her breathing heavier. Law and Kylum bore cuts and bruises from their clashes with Rimuru, while Rimuru himself had several wounds from their relentless attacks. Blood dripped from his arm, staining the floor beneath him. "You're strong," Rimuru admitted, his tone serious. "Stronger than I anticipated, but this fight isn't over." Luffy grinned, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "You're strong too, but I'm not done yet. I'm gonna win this, no matter what." Ultima wiped sweat from her brow, her grin still intact despite her injuries. "This is more fun than I expected," she said. "But don't think for a second that you can beat us." Kylum tightened his grip on his sword, his golden eyes blazing with determination. "We're not backing down. This ends here." The battle continued, each side refusing to yield despite their injuries. The room shook with every clash, the walls cracking under the sheer force of their attacks. But even as the fighters pushed themselves to their limits, one thing was clear. This was a battle that would not end easily.